Hi, welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's film Present. So I guess they just bought the license for it. How I became a superhero. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite superhero film that is not in the MCU. One that's similar to this. But for now, let's jump into it. So this is a French film that is set in a world where superheroes are a part of everyday life. They've been completely assimilated into society. At the same time, we also have a bunch of bad guys, or a bad guy, trying to take the superhero's powers and use them as a drug. So the local drug dealer of the day is dealing in superhero powers instead of normal drugs. I guess this is the new drug of the day. We also have a cop who has a fairly dark past, and because of that, he doesn't quite like superheroes. He is on the case. He's disillusioned cop. It's a film and a storyline that we've seen before many times over. There's been many versions of this story told, and so you may be thinking to yourself, well, why do I want to go and watch this again? This is not going to do anything new. I feel like it takes those genres, it takes the things that we've seen before and does little twists on them. So, for example, the superpowers that have been tried and tested, they do things in this film with superpowers visually that is very entertaining to watch, but also the powers that they use or how they use them. I was thinking, well, that is quite different. I haven't seen it used quite that way before. There's definitely been films like this before. We had one with a much bigger budget from Netflix recently. I think it was 2020. You'll probably recognize similar themes there. You might even you can be forgiven for thinking, wait, haven't I seen this film recently? It's so much so in the I guess the similarities are part in storyline. Where this differs, I feel like this has more of an edge, more of an indie feel to it, partly because of the budget and partly because it's in a French original, and I definitely recommend watching it in its original language with subtitles. I tried listening to the dubbing, and the dubbing wasn't great, but also because of the way it's filmed. I thought it was filmed really well, and it kind of puts you into the zone of what you would expect society to be like. It really establishes the world well. The thing that I didn't quite like is that it takes a really long time to give our characters backstory, especially our main character. We get some backstory of his through a series of flashbacks, but there isn't enough to go on so that when stuff is happening to him, you don't really care about him until at least an hour into the film. And that could be said about a couple of the other main protagonists. In fact, I liked the other side characters more. There is an old superhero guy who has come down with a sort of disease. They never really go well into it, but it does ask the question: what happens to superheroes who gets sick? And that side of the film I thought was really interesting and different. So that part of the film, when they're leaning more into the characters, I thought was very good. But it also feels like it outstays its welcome a little bit. This is me picking up things that I like. If I had to force myself to say there are moments that I didn't like, I would say the length of the film. It feels like it's weighty in the middle and doesn't get to the end as quick as possible. You definitely can see where it's going towards the end. When there are changes to our character, you see them coming as well. Like I said, we've seen this film before, but the way it's put together, along with the score and the acting, which I thought was fine, it's an enjoyable watch. I wouldn't say it's a film that I'm going to go and watch again anytime soon, but that isn't a prerequisite for a great film. It's one that I enjoyed, that I found entertaining, that is better than a lot of these films that we've seen. So I would give this a B, a solid B, I think. It's definitely more. I'm not probably not selling it to you. It's definitely better than the average superhero film like this that we've had. But it doesn't do anything new, and I think that's very hard to do. It does try and do new stuff, but with a saturated market on the superhero genre, I don't know what else we can do. Like even The Boys, which have gone straight to like adult content, Invincible on Amazon, it's the adult version of the superheroes. This delves into it a little bit, but doesn't really go that way. But it also doesn't go the route of the MCU. It tries to do something a little bit unique with its powers, which I really appreciated. Had they gone into the characters of what happens to superheroes without powers or afterwards, the life, the journey. When it is touching on that, I think the film is more interesting, and I would have liked to see more of that. I actually think that would have been an interesting TV series to have rather than the film. I think just touching on that world is the most interesting thing about the story, rather than the cliche story of we're going to stop the bad guy from dealing with superpowers because that's obviously going to go wrong, and the rescue of the person that gets in trouble, and the conflicted antagonist that turns out to be a hero sort of storyline. We've had those time and time again. So I'm glad it tries to do something different. So that was just my takes. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this film. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.